everybody, DJ Rick from agiprodj.com alongside DJ Ty with a versus video. Probably one of the biggest questions we've been asked in the last few weeks has been, which is better, the JBL sub or the QSC sub? This is the KW181. The one in front of DJ Ty is the 618S-XLF. It's a big question. Would you like to start first?
Sure, why not? Like Rick mentioned, there's a ton of people that call and ask us which one's better. We get comments on the YouTube videos. I've seen that you compared the two QSC subs side by side. Why don't you go ahead and compare the QSC and the JBL, and that's what we're going to bring to you guys. Everybody loves versus videos. Which one's better, the apple or the orange? We both have pretty strong opinions on them. I guess the one thing to make a point of right up front is that both are a winner. They're both fantastic subs. It's not like one is a $300 subwoofer and the other one is a $2,000 sub. They're right in the same market price-wise with each other. They have different names on them, a few different features. Size-wise, they're close. But I think both are a winner, but there are some glaring differences between the two of them.
Just like you and I personally. Why don't you go ahead and start with some of the advantages that you think your subwoofer has in front of you there.
So this is the 618S-XLF sub from JBL. It's part of their new 600 series. It's a 1,000-watt sub. It's got their Duracoat finish on it. 18-inch driver, as you can see, it's a little bit bigger than the QSC KW181. It's about 9 cubic feet versus just a little over 6. A little over 6, right? So physics says you're going to get a little boomier bass, a little bigger sound out of a bigger cabinet just because of air volume. QSC are the masters of engineering, and so there's likely electronics inside of that that's going to try to compensate for that as well. Like I said, it's a little bit bigger footprint. It weighs 80.5 pounds on the XLF. 81.5? 81.5. 81.5 pounds. So there's about a 7-pound difference between the two of them. Pairs up beautifully with the 612s, the 615s, the 625s, and the 635s. A couple of these and a couple of 612s or 615s on tripods would sound phenomenal. 4 of these and 2 625s or 2 635s would sound fantastic as well. So it's a great sub. Again, it's 1,000 watts, 18-inch, 133 dB. On paper, it's a little lower than the QSC, although in real life, we'd probably argue on that one too.
Probably depends on what day. And
yeah, what day, what room, what music. If you're pumping Tanya through it, you know.
It is fitting that you would be the supporter of the JBL product because just like you, more volume of air is being pushed through. I'd like to talk for a second about the QSC product. The KW181, we've got about 9 cubic feet versus 6, and I think the visual representation is what's most striking. Everybody's seen pictures of this. We've seen a few videos spotted out there. We've seen a number of videos on this guy, but when you see them side by side, I mean, that's the true test, and I think a major strength that the KW181 has is you maximize your total sound output based on a size ratio. So sound to size, if you were to have a formula that calculated that, I think the KW181 sticks out for that reason. You get what they say on paper is 135 decibels out of a 6 cubic foot cabinet. You can stick this under a table. It fits easily under a table. We've shown that before. Both are made out of wood, so they're wood cabinets. A different finish for each one. You see a pole mount on each subwoofer. Guess what QSC includes? You don't have to buy this extra. This actually comes with the sub, which is a nice bonus.
This is a little bonus. You are paying for it. Really, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, make a noise over there.
Go ahead and make some more points. Okay. That's fine.
So $13.99 on that. You do get the sub, or the pole for the sub. You do get casters on the back. We're going to flip these around in a minute and show you that as well. It's $12.99 on the JBL. No casters, no pole, but you know, for $100, you're probably going to be able to pick those up too. And you know, like Rick mentioned, me being the one with more air pushing out and the louder one of the two, I'd support the larger cabinet. And I understand, you know, being the smaller of the two of us, you'd support the smaller size cabinet.
And it's not so much the size that counts as what you do with it, and that's the whole point behind QSC. It's like, what's the most we can accomplish in the minimal amount of size? And you know, we've even shown videos on the K-Sub.
Right.
We've compared the KW181 to the K-Sub. It's not exactly a fair comparison. This is probably a more equitable matchup. And you know, we're having fun with all this, but there are some big differences to consider. How about if we flip these around and kind of take a look at the back panel
Sure.
to see if there's any differences there?
Cool.
All right, so here's the back view and some differences that are very apparent. You may not know it from the pictures, but we've already alluded to it. Casters available on the KW181. That is super handy. If you wanted to just, like we've shown before, throw a cover on top of this, and covers are available from QSC as well. So that becomes actually a dolly that you can stack other things on top of if you wanted to. So to me, casters are a big bonus, and for somebody that's doing a lot of mobile stuff, that's important because it makes the ease of use getting in and out of venues a whole lot easier. What would you say about the caster part?
Well, there's no casters on the JBL, and this is a nice looking back end. I mean, it's sexy, it's simple. It's got a bunch of stuff sticking out of the back of it that rattles around when the bass is bumping. The JBL or QSC's done a great job. These are actually very quiet casters. There is a little bit of rattle there to them. I noticed that as we ran them more and more, the things just kind of quieted up a little bit.
They do.
So out of the box, everything's kind of tight, and there's some more reaction between them. But as we put more hours on the 181, they did quiet down quite a bit. As Rick mentioned, you can. There's no casters on the 618, but you could also pick up the caster plate. And so now you can move the JBLs around as well. And the cool thing about having a removable caster plate like this is that I could put another sub on top. I could put a 635 on top. I could put a couple of totes on there as well. And then we can pull it off. And it's removable. No worries about the extra height that it adds, or the extra noises from the casters as well. But another thing to point out between the back of the two speakers, this is a passively cooled sub. There's no fan on this, where the 181 is air cooled.
Not a huge deal. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's not like it goes.
Exactly. Just difference in design. Harman powered versus QSC powered, probably one of the two biggest names in power amplifiers in the industry right now. And then the inputs on them are pretty similar, really. I mean, we've got the left and right ends with the throughs. The JBL has a crossover built into it, where I believe the 181 does not. Is that correct?
That's correct, because they assume you're going to be using this with another K-Series or KW product and use the crossover that's built into those speakers anyway. So.
Right, so yeah, QSC chose to put the crossover in the top box, where JBL put the crossover in the sub. So into the sub, enable the crossover, using the crossover in and out, and then out up to a top box. So again, they're so similar. I mean, the cool thing is that they're both a winner. I mean, they both sound awesome. Size-wise, they're darn close. This one's a little narrower than the 181. Somebody had mentioned, one of our customers, I think, had said that two of them side by side wouldn't quite fit underneath of a 6-foot table with the brackets underneath them. But if you have more of a DJ constructed table that doesn't have all the angular supports underneath of them, you ought to be able to get a couple of these under there. So.
Yeah, some tables this will fit in pairs, and some tables it won't. Both of these are going to have a polarity switch on them. That's another similarity. K-Series and KW Series have the deep mode attached to them, so you can actually throw this subwoofer into deep mode and try to mirror sort of a lower response rate. On paper, this guy gets down to 35 hertz, and I believe yours goes to 30.
30, correct. And this one didn't actually need electronic engineering to try to achieve something. Just the size of the box gets it down to 30 hertz, where this they had to put a little deep mode on there. Again, more electronic trickery and black magic trying to get good sound out of that small cabinet.
Speaking of electronic trickery, one thing that's really cool is this power limit off feature for the LED. You have the choice on all the K-Series and KW Series of choosing whether the LED on the front is illuminated full time during a limit session. If you're limiting, you can actually see it happening, which could protect your speaker, or you could actually turn it off altogether. The other thing that's included is this remote gain, so you could daisy chain a whole series of speakers and control them with a remote pod. And it also will shut off after 5 minutes if it's not in use. Kind of a cool feature, especially if it's in an install or something where you're not going to be playing, you might as well power off. Right. This is probably leaving less of a carbon footprint on the world because it shuts itself off.
Right. Because that's important. Again, Rick mentioned that the LED, the ability to turn it off, which is great if you're doing front of house or being able to see the limiting from the front of it. DJs, I don't know how many of you guys actually set up your PA systems 20 feet away from you, in front of you, facing towards you. It's a pretty irrelevant feature, really, for disc jockey.
Nonetheless, it's there. I'd rather have more features than less. Can a Ferrari do 20 miles an hour? Absolutely can. But,
sure.
Yeah. Anyway, we're having fun with this, but the point we want to make is it's a win-win no matter which one you go for. We choose to stock and to talk about products that are the best in the business, to be quite honest with you. You'll get what you pay for. Both of these are fantastic quality products, and the thing that we repeat over and over is the biggest reason people buy from us is because we're real. We go out, we personally used these products before, and we understand how they work. We know the pros and cons. We'll tell it to you straight too. I mean, you're not going to get any BS.
Absolutely. That's why people choose to buy from us, is that we've used the stuff in the field. The feedback you're getting on these particular subs is real. We've used them both, used them at events. Rick's used them at weddings, used them at mobile events. And we truly do carry the top of the line gear that's available. We don't mess around with the $500 subs, because frankly we'd rather just not take that phone call after somebody gets their box, takes it to an event, and a $500 sub is going to sound like a $500 sub. It won't sound like a $1,400 box.
Right, and I don't want to belabor the length of this video, but I think a lot of guys will sit here and watch this. This is turning into kind of a philosophy on business. It's not to not be interested in guys that are affording gear that's $400 or $500 a sub. We still want to have those conversations, and we're the people to go to try to figure out what are the differences. Believe it or not, a lot of people that come to us with a budget of $500 or $600, after learning and becoming more knowledgeable about what's out there, they will save up and wait to make that purchase to get even one. Guys, pay attention to this. One of these subs has more output than twice of an inferior product. One thing we didn't mention, 5 years on the warranty.
Correct.
6 years on the warranty.
Longest in the business.
Longest in the business, and these subs by default are worth more if you had to go and sell them just because of that value.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a budget. We all started out, we all rocked $100 mixers a long time ago. Again, back to the company philosophy thing, we'd rather be able to help DJs make some educated choices and buy good equipment to start with, and if that means only buying one versus two, or maybe foregoing a couple of lights or something else that you could do without to buy a piece of equipment that's going to last you, that you're not going to have to replace, have some buyer's remorse a year or two down the road, or even months down the road, because you'd wish you'd have just bought something that was nicer. We get these calls all the time. I bought brand X of a subwoofer or brand Y of a subwoofer, and it's just total garbage. I can't sell it. The company I bought it from won't take it back, but they'll take it in on trade and they'll give me $100 on the $500 sub I bought. So enough of that. It's getting long-winded, but spend the money on good gear, and that's what we do. Is we pride ourselves on carrying and advising people and educating on what equipment is good, what's a good value, and best for the job, for sure.
Two great candidates, JBL, QSC. You can't go wrong with either. Thanks for checking it out.
agiprodj.com.